Welcome to Car and Driver. This is 10 Best. Each year since 1983, our team has gathered for this multi-week evaluation process where we sort through a crowded and increasingly complicated new vehicle marketplace. We drive and evaluate everything with the goal of telling you the 10 best cars and 10 best trucks and SUVs you can buy in the next year. Now, in order to be invited, a vehicle must, 1, be on sale by January 31st, 2, it must cost less than a price cap that we adjust each year to account for average transaction prices, and 3, it must be new or significantly updated. Now, we also invite back last year's winners to defend their title. After all, just because something's new doesn't mean it's better than what's already out there.
People often ask, those of us who are lucky enough to drive these 60 or 70 cars and trucks and SUVs in a week or in a couple weeks and vote on them for our picks for 10 best. And people often ask us, right, like, what are you most impressed with? And oftentimes it tends to be on the lower end of the market because it's a lot harder to make a great $30,000 car than it is to make a great $300,000 car.
This is the 38th time the Honda Accord has garnered a 10 best spot, more than any other model. The reason is simple but hard for others to duplicate: continuous improvement over decades. This latest version hides its greatness under conservative clothing. There's no flash, just substance. The cabin is spacious and handsome, comfortable for long-haul driving. The hybrid setup powering most trim levels operates seamlessly with luxury car-like quietness. In a world of fewer and fewer family sedans, Honda has not merely kept the Accord alive, but continued to hone its brilliance.
That's why it's been the most winning car on 10 Best. Because it's that great combination of value, it's got all the practicality and reliability of a Camry, but it's always had a little something more dynamically in terms of fun to drive, in terms of, it just felt like Honda gets us. A car that responds when you lean on it. It steers a little crisper than it needs to. Those are the kind of cars we really like.
How many 10 bests have you been a part of?
Not to date me, right?
Not to date. No, of course not.
I had a period where I wasn't working at Car and Driver, but the first 10 best, if I remember, was way back around 1982. We didn't drive cars.
Yeah.
We just sat around a table and argued with each other and then voted, and then the boss imposed his will on us. But then one of our road warriors found this route and we started using it a year or two later. So it's been going on. I had a big period of absence from Car and Driver before I came back 7 years ago, but it's been going on steadily using this route since like 83 or 84. The criteria has evolved as the market's evolved. Back in the old days, there were so few American cars that were good that the boss, the publisher editor, David E. Davis, mandated we better have 5 domestic and 5 imports to be fair and not to look biased. And so we struggled to do that. But then American cars got a lot better, domestic cars got better, and we just opened it up and put a price cap on it, which we've raised as with inflation over time. And what's even more important when you're evaluating vehicles is we have a chance to do vehicles back to back. If we want a see whether we like a Porsche or Corvette better, we get to drive them both on the same road on the same day, back to back. That is the best way to evaluate vehicles. That's why we do comparison tests. We take a bunch of vehicles out and drive them all together on the same roads at the same time. That shows up differences better than anything.
Anything else you want to add?
Yeah. These are some of our most fun days of the year. That's what I'd like to add.
These are
Sorry,
the
but that's
best
true.
days. Yeah, this is true.
These are the days
Yeah.
when you appreciate having this job more than ever.
The Acura Integra reminds us what makes the whole idea of a hot hatch so great. Regardless of category, we love how the Type S skips overkill, instead wringing maximum performance from a finely honed set of right-sized components. Its suspension design both avoids the downsides of a powerful front-drive car, but also delivers excellent steering feel. The standard manual transmission has finger flick shift action, well-spaced ratios, and perfect clutch take-up. Combine that with the practicality of a four-door hatchback, and the Integra Type S hits the sweet spot.
I would keep the CT4 Blackwing and boot the 5.
We decided to make room for both. The CT4V Blackwing is one of the best driver's cars on the market today, right up there with its larger sibling, the CT5V Blackwing. We should know after having subjected both to 40,000-mile long-term tests. The CT4's 472 horsepower V6 is satisfying with either transmission choice, but you should certainly choose the manual. As equipped, you'll get some of the most rewarding driving this side of the six-figure mark. But the CT4's ability to switch to mild-mannered commuter mode is just as impressive, thanks to a sophisticated ride and handling balance and impressive suspension tech. The CT5V Blackwing is like bringing a thermonuclear device to a knife fight. When's the last time you drove a family sedan capable of breaking the rear tires loose at highway speeds on dry pavement? But that laugh-out-loud power is only a small part of the equation. As with the CT4, the performance traction management system can make you believe there's a tiny wizard in the differential. The Tremec 6-speed makes every gear change rewarding, and the ride is downright luxurious when set to its most comfortable setting. Short of traversing the open ocean, there isn't much the CT5V Blackwing can't do.
What are some highlights so far? Anything new that's made your list compared to last year?
It's hard to say right now. I mean, there's a lot of great cars here. I think in my mind, the Lucid Air, now their rollout was starting at the super high end, $150,000 plus car, which was above our price cap. But now this year we finally have a base model pure rear wheel drive car, which I think starts around $77,000. They just had a price reduction.
The Lucid Air Pure is the most affordable version of an impressive EV. Yet even at this lowest tier, it delivers better EPA range than most expensive or longest range competitors. The Pure only sacrifices what's easy to live without, but the driving experience shows DNA carried down from its much costlier versions. Plus, the smaller battery pack provides deeper footwells for rear seat passengers. The Lucid Air Pure is a base model whose driving range, performance, space, and price put it in a sweet spot. It may be the lowest tier, but it sure sets the bar high.
The thing looks like a spaceship coming at you with a really laid down windshield and the kind of mono light across the front. to me, that is like the futuristic electric S-Class kind of car. It's what, in my mind, a Mercedes EQS should have been. It's terrific to drive, great materials, very futuristic and forward-looking, and even with the single motor powertrain, it's still plenty quick.
Well, what's fun about it is what I'm going to do right now. Just stomp the throttle and it goes like crazy. Well, this is the brand new 2024 Corvette E-Ray, and 0 to 60, this is the fastest Corvette we've ever tested because the electric motor drives the front wheels, the gas engine drives the rear wheels, and it has all-wheel drive and all-wheel drive traction, so it leaps off the line. Fastest 0 to 60 and the second fastest through the quarter mile. So to go 127 miles an hour from 0 takes 10.6 seconds. But the rest of the time it's like a standard base Corvette. Very quiet, very smooth. So it's a beast, but it's a domesticated beast. It's not a wild animal when you don't want it to be. So it's a really cool car.
Like so many things in today's world, the Corvette has seen a price hike. Now in its 5th year of production this generation, the cost of entry has risen to a hair under 70 grand, but that's still a value for a car that blends multiple personalities. The new hybrid E-Ray asks slightly over 100, but it also blasts to 60 in 2.5 seconds, making it the quickest Corvette we've tested. The bandwidth makes the C8 a star. Flog it on the track on Saturday, then cruise to church on Sunday. Mount some winter tires on it and drive it year-round. We did just that during our 40,000-mile long-term test. Trust us, it doesn't care. Like last year, we've awarded a 10 best spot to all versions of the Honda Civic because whichever one matches your lifestyle and budget will be a winner. Whether you want a high mileage commuter that won't break the bank, a hatchback for added storage, or a machine that's simply enjoyable to drive, there's a flavor for you. And that's even before considering the Type R, which is a driving masterpiece in its own right. No matter which one you pick, the Civic is a well-conceived and enjoyable car you can easily recommend to a close friend or family member. The 718 Boxster and Cayman continue to exemplify the greatest sports car virtues. These are cars without slop, hesitation, or apparent filter between driver and machine. They make mundane errands feel truly special. The steering delivers hi-fi feedback. Both the throttle and brake have ideal weighting and proportionality. Regardless of the model, the chassis possesses the poise and finesse of an elite athlete, with even minute changes realizing immediate course corrections. Yes, they command a premium, yet for what they offer, none feel overpriced. Porsche is facing an incredibly tough task in replacing these cars, which might explain why they've hung around for so long. As the SUV-ification of the auto market continues and mega horsepower EVs quickly become the new hotness, the Subaru BRZ and Toyota GR86 look like outliers. Small, light, naturally aspirated, and manually shifted, this analog duo flies in the face of many current trends. Not merely a tonic to prevailing winds, these sports cars are exciting in their own right. With their lithe handling, faithful steering, predictable behavior, and plentiful feedback, the GR86 and BRZ encourage the driver to push harder.
I think any given year with 10 Best, you have to look at the previous year and say, is there anything here that has changed from year to year, a previous winner, for the worse in such a way that maybe it doesn't make it this year? And conversely, is there another car that has improved so much that it could slide into that space? And right now, my own thoughts on this, I'm eyeballing the Accord and the Prius. And I know that the Prius historically gets no respect, but the new Prius is awfully good, and the plug-in is 220 horsepower. And meanwhile, the Accord has lost its 270 horsepower 2-liter turbo. It has lost its manual transmission, and the fanciest Accord is now also a hybrid. So if there's a conceptual spot for a 4-door hybrid, do you go Accord or Prius? That's something I have to ruminate on. It's a good question anyway. I don't know how I'm going to land on that.
As it turns out, we made room for both. While the second-generation Prius turned efficiency into a style statement, there remained an assertion of noble sacrifice in the name of efficiency. You can have 50 mpg or a healthy stable of horsepower, but not both. This new Prius erases half that formula, retaining its core efficiency while beefing up the muscle and wrapping it in a package that causes onlookers to ask, "That's a Prius?" We'd say Toyota's signature hybrid finally regained its 10 Best form, but that's not really accurate. To find its way back, the Prius had to set off in a new direction altogether.
This is getting bad. You having fun?
I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
Alright, it's day 2. Things went great yesterday, and this morning was going fine, but now we have a monsoon that just showed up. This summer in Michigan's been weird. It's like we're living in Florida.
Right.
Big downpours like
But
this.
that's 10 Best, right?
Yeah.
Early September, you never know what you're gonna get. It was like 90 degrees yesterday, and now it's torrential downpour.
A couple of the cars I've been most impressed with this year are like the Chevy Trax, which starts down in the low to mid 20s, and even the one we have, which is the top trim, is $25,000. You know, way under the average price today.
More for less is a good way to nail our value criteria, which, along with how well a vehicle fulfills its intended mission and how enjoyable it is to drive, are the deciding factors for 10 Best. While the Chevy Trax's fun to drive bit of this three-legged criteria stool is far shorter than some other winners, it stands tall on the other two. Its top trim costs roughly half the price of the average new vehicle today. And even the base version comes standard with features like wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay and an 8-inch touchscreen. In nearly every way, the Trax is both better than we expected and better than it needed to be, a textbook way to earn a place on this list. The constant upsizing of full-size pickups in the name of payload and towing one-upmanship has created an open spot at the bottom where the Ford Maverick slides into neatly. As for the Maverick's unibody construction and front drive roots, well, the SUV market has warmly embraced such crossovers and their smoother ride, lower weight, and inherently better fuel economy with it. What each version of the Maverick shares is an affable nature and agile maneuverability that's absent from swollen pickups. Perhaps the bigger is better thinking really has run its course. There's nothing really groundbreaking about the Genesis GV70 or its electrified EV variant, but it still stands out from its peers by leaning into the ethos that defines a luxury product. All GV70s incorporate rich interior materials that complement a clean layout with thoughtful ergonomic touches. Its relaxed suspension setup and quiet cabin coddle those seated within. The regal exterior evokes the design of vehicles that cost far more. With 483 horsepower, the electrified GV70 is not only quick in a straight line, but its 77.4 kilowatt-hour battery pack went from 10 to 90% in just 24 minutes in our testing. The Honda CR-V may be in a segment that defines itself as small or compact, but neither term applies. This interior is roomy and airy, with materials that feel rich for the price. And its cargo hold is massive, swallowing up to 29 carry-on suitcases with the rear seat folded in our testing. The available hybrid is a novel design, lacking a continuously variable transmission and with the engine faking gear changes, but you really have to pay attention to even notice. The best part? The CR-V remains fun to drive and willing should you decide to try and beat your nav system's ETA. The CR-V is the modern family wagon. Whether it's range or charging speeds, the Hyundai Ioniq 5 largely eliminates the typical compromises that come with driving an electric vehicle. Its retro-futuristic design remains as fresh as it did when Hyundai first pulled the covers off the model nearly 3 years ago, and its impressive packaging efficiency means there's enough rear seat legroom for an NBA center and Apple Cargo space to boot. Few will confuse this Hyundai for a Genesis, but its interior quality, chic decor, quiet cabin, and cosseting ride more than live up to the expectations set by its starting price. Kia is already well ahead of most mainstream rivals on electrification, and the new EV9 benefits from the same advancements, like capability for ultra-fast DC charging and an available 99.8 kilowatt-hour battery. The well-designed cabin fits the family hauler role with lots of room and, in plusher trims, plentiful equipment. Space is generous for the second row and adult viable for the third. EV buyers are changing from early adopters to everyday folk concerned with more important stuff, like the logistics of getting 5 kids to softball practice. For them, there's now an electric vehicle that fits their needs with the EV9.
Waiting for possibly the rain to go by.
Before we finish cleaning the thing for car to car. Yeah, we're gonna use this little, there's a boat launch access back there, so it's like a 1.5 lane road, but it's quiet, no lines to worry about, just a clean car to car. And yeah, hang out of this Boxster.
Okay.
It's a great photo car. May not look like it, but you'll see.
Okay. All right. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. It's a little warm, you know. Good old Michigan humidity.
Mark, how you doing?
I feel wonderful.
You look wonderful.
Driving a 718.
Bumpy. I mean, you know, it's a Boxster, so it's not going to be the smoothest riding car. So you got to use yourself as a human gyro, but it works. It's only Thursday. I think we got through 7, I want to say, 7 or 8. We've got maybe a handful to go, so not too bad. We're on good pace.
All right.
Graceful, polished, smartly designed, the Kia Telluride just feels right. Its ride is beautifully controlled, its interior controls are logically organized, and the exterior styling is aging gracefully, with sturdy lines and upscale detailing that give it just the right amount of road presence without being overly flashy. When you've got a product with as much appeal as the Telluride, there's no need for heady claims or gimmicks. The Telluride sells itself. Just ask the multiple car and driver staffers that bought their own. The Porsche Macan makes good on the brand's sports car promise, but with the added benefit of practicality. It achieves greatness surpassing your expectations of compact crossovers thanks to a responsive chassis and 2 engaging engine choices. The Macan is so connected to the driving experience that it can be surprising to open the door and step down rather than climbing up and out of a sports car. For the elegance of exit alone, it deserves praise. No other SUV of this size offers such a temptation to take the long way to your destination. From the refrigerator white tradesman to the supercharged 702 horsepower TRX, every version shows Ram's mission to chisel away at domestic truck market share. Consider the available 4-corner air springs that can improve aerodynamics or make hooking up the trailer a cinch. Then there's the available quilted, leather-upholstered seats, heated, ventilated, and reclining front and rear. The list of luxury vehicle options goes on and on. This generation of the Ram has taken home a trophy every year since it was introduced, which is even more impressive given that it's getting an overhaul for 2025. Grand Highlander leapfrogs its competitors, providing just the right combination of practicality, refinement, and driving satisfaction. Its available Hybrid Max powertrain delivers a winning combination of strong acceleration and miserly fuel economy. Usually with hybrids, you get one or the other. The interior is smartly apportioned between the 3 rows, and the materials are well chosen regardless of trim level. Our preferred limited and platinum trim levels with the 362 horsepower hybrid max powertrain are the most expensive versions, but we'd gladly pay extra for this peerless combination of power, efficiency, and refinement.